Here we are in my bedroom. I never recorded any videos of me setting this room up. I don't know why, it just never really occurred to me when I was doing it because this was the very first room that I did. I really wanted to have this room feel nice to be in since it's my bedroom. And so I did paint in here, and then I, decorated, hung things on the walls, and then eventually last year I bought some actual nightstands to go on either side of the bed. And now this room is feeling like it needs a refresh because I haven't really changed anything in here since I set it up 3 years ago. The nightstands were really the only change that I've made since then. So I want to do a little bit in here, nothing too crazy, but some of the things on the walls I want to get moved around, like these shelves over here. I'm always afraid that I'm gonna smack my arm on them if I get out of bed on this side. I think it's only happened like one time, but ever since then I realize it's a bit problematic to have those shelves on that wall. And then here above the bed, I think that this is actually a towel, but I have it hung up like a banner or a tapestry or whatever. I think this would look nice as a sort of pseudo headboard behind the bed. So I'm thinking maybe I should move that over there. And then the big thing is I'm kind of over this dresser situation. I've had these little cubes functioning as my clothes storage for at least 10 years now. I believe I bought these back when I was 18, and I've been using them to store my clothes ever since, and I do like them. I actually do like having this open storage so that I can see everything and stuff doesn't get lost inside of drawers. I think that's actually really good for me. The larger issue is that these little cubes that I got that I do like are no longer available to buy. It was something that Target used to carry, and right after I bought them, they must have discontinued them because you can't buy them anymore. So I've been trying to figure out what I want to do, if I want to buy a proper dresser, and I've been going back and forth on this for a while because I just could not decide what I wanted to do. I really didn't want to spend a bunch of money on a dresser, and I think what could be a fun project is to do a kind of custom built-in moment. If I work off of these little end pieces that I have, which were closet made, I think if I buy more closet made pieces, I could kind of build something to fit in this area. And I was even thinking it would be really cool if maybe I have the shelf on the end, if I attached a bar in front of the door to hang things on. That's kind of what I'm thinking in my head. I just think it could look really cool and it would give me that additional storage that I want and also still allow me to have the open storage that I want, because obviously that's not super traditional for clothing storage, for everything to be open. If you're buying a dresser, it's always drawers. So that's kind of where I'm at. Okay, so I got the dresser set up, ready to go. You can see I already got the second set of the stackables up, and then I am reusing the backing pieces from my DVD shelves that I repurposed. I did a whole video about it where I had some DVD shelves that I essentially reused the material to make new shelves, and I saved everything that I didn't use, including the backing pieces. So I'm actually using these to create backs for these shelves because these shelves don't come with any sort of back piece. And then I have the other shelving unit that's going to be replacing these cubes. Still needs to be put together. I ended up getting a shoe bench actually because just after looking at all of my options, that was what fit the dimensions that I was looking for the most. And it's a little bit longer than the cubes, but a bit shorter. But the main thing is that it has way more cubbies, which is what I wanted. So it's going to have a lot more individual cubbies so I can sort everything like I talked about. And I still have one more thing to get for the new dresser setup, and that is I want to get a board. It's going to be easier to explain once I have it all set up, but basically I want to get a board that will go like across the top. Because I got a shoe bench, it sits down a little bit lower than I wanted, so I'm gonna like add a shelf in. I'll explain it once it's together and everything's set up. It'll make way more sense. So what I'm gonna do is these on the end, these stackable shelves don't actually have a bottom piece, so they're meant to be open at the bottom. And what I did was I flipped the one so that the top is at the bottom. So this is flipped and then this is right way up, and it leaves this big opening here, and you can see where the two different shelves are sat on top of each other. I want to get a piece of wood or like a pre-cut shelf, whatever I can find that's the right measurements, to sit all the way across here, so it'll sit between these two end pieces, and that'll make some more usable space here, and then make like a higher like countertop area for me to have like my jewelry and my keys and things like that. And I think that's going to work really well. It is day 3 or 4 of working on the bedroom, and I am currently working on getting some of the quarter round trim pieces pulled out. So I've talked about this before in other videos where when I moved into the house, the quarter round was already removed from the living room and the dining room, and I then removed it from the kitchen and the bathroom. So the bedrooms are the only rooms in the house that still have the quarter round. And I just personally don't like the way that it looks, and I don't think that it is necessary. I understand why they put it in, but I would prefer to just not have it and work out a different solution. So let me show you what we're working with here. So as you can see, it is pretty messy, which is the reason why I put off taking the quarter round trim out of the bedrooms, because I had partially lifted a piece up once before and saw how dirty it was behind it, so I decided to leave it alone. But it has really been irking me for a while now, and I've been wanting to get it out. But basically you can see there's a lot of gapping between the floor and the baseboard, which is why they put the trim in. I'm sure they put it in to cover that up, which is what it's typically used for. And I know that, like, obviously this isn't ideal either, like it doesn't look the best, but I would rather come up with a different solution than the quarter round, because like I said, I just personally don't like the way that it looks on my baseboards. So what the plan is for right now is to try and get all this cleaned up as best as I can. I assume that this is probably like when they finish the floors, the stain and stuff probably kind of pulled underneath, and that's, I assume, what all this like gunky stuff is. So I'm gonna try and get as much of it up as I can and get it as clean as I can. And I think probably the like proper solution to this is to pull the baseboard off of the wall and like reposition it, because it really needs to drop down like a quarter of an inch probably. Like that's a pretty decent gap there. So really the baseboard itself is just too high on the wall. So I don't want to get into all of that right now. Like for right now, I just want to get it cleaned up and looking decent. But I think like that's gonna be like the actual proper way to fix this, is to fully remove the baseboard from the wall and reinstall it. And that's just like a lot that I don't really want to get into right now. Today's agenda is a little bit chaotic because I'm trying to get done as much of this as I can. Right now, I just finished up with trimming down my bed frame, which, a little bit of explanation. This frame used to have trim pieces that went along the edges, and when I got my nightstands, they wouldn't fit against this wall because of the trim pieces that stuck like farther out. So I decided to remove them, and that worked out perfectly fine. The only issue was that these boards still stuck out past the mattress because that was where the trim pieces used to attach. So I moved my mattress off of the frame so that I could trim down these edges and make it look more like a floating bed frame, like it's supposed to be, so those won't stick out past the mattress anymore. So got that done. I'm obviously cleaning up all the sawdust from doing that, and that's fine because it was already on the agenda to deep clean my room. So I wanted to get all the furniture like moved out so I could clean underneath, get all that like accumulated dust from underneath of all of the furniture. So doing that, I am trying to get all of the stuff off of the walls so I can patch the old holes from where the stuff was hung, because like everything is getting moved that was hung on the walls previously. So working on that because I want to, like I said, patch the old holes, and then I'll do some touch-up paint. I already got this hung up and figured out what I want to do on this wall. Next, we'll be hanging up some blinds. These are the same ones that I've put in all of the windows of the house, and I specifically got the room darkening ones for the bedroom, so that's why there's 4 of them. I'm 2 for each bedroom. And I want to get these hung up today since I finally went out and got them. And I think the last thing that I want to do is I got the shelf for my little makeshift clothing storage. So this is about like maybe 4 inches too long. So I want to get that cut down and possibly get it in place. I would like to get it in place, but I don't want to force myself to get like too much done today. But I want to at least get it trimmed down to the right length to go between these 2 end bits. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I want to also maybe get some of this stuff hung up because I've decided on like placement for things. So my little jewelry storage mirror thing used to be back here behind the door. I'm moving it to where the regular mirror used to be. And then this mirror, I'm going to put like across there. I think it'll look cool. I kind of like held it up just to get an idea of how it looks. And it kind of just gives that illusion of like a vanity mirror sort of moment. So I think it's going to look good there. And the last for the walls is this wall. I'm struggling. At first I thought maybe just leave it blank and not have anything hung there, but I think that's gonna look weird because I have stuff hung on all of the other walls. So I'm thinking maybe this should be like a gallery wall moment, but I haven't quite decided yet. So this wall, I still don't really know what the plan is, but everything else, I know what I want to do. So, yeah, a lot of moving parts. Like I said, I'm trying to wrap up as much of this as I can today. So, I'll see how far I get. So, today is kind of the wrap up day for the bedroom. I'm going to try and get all the little details ironed out, and this is always my least favorite part of any project. You would think it would be my favorite part because like the project's finally done, but I hate the finishing details because I just feel so overwhelmed, and I'm too much of a perfectionist to ever feel like the like thing I'm doing is good enough. I feel like I have to just like keep tinkering with it. But one thing that I've found that can help me when I get to that point of feeling like there's just too many moving parts and where do I go, what should I focus on, is that as you can see, this is the mess of the bedroom project. This is all like the tools and supplies and everything that I had uh, for working on the bedroom. And what I do is I will pick up a tool and I'll say, do I still need this tool for what I'm working on? So, like, do I still need these for the bedroom? No, actually, I don't. I finished what I needed these for. I needed it to, like, take something out of the wall. So, I don't need these anymore. So, those can go back downstairs. And I just do that, like, one by one, where I'll be like, okay, why did I have the tape measure up here? Do I still need that? Why did I have the drill bits? Do I still need those? And then when I get to something that I do still need, then I can decide, okay, do I want to do that right now? So like the paintbrush and the paint is laying here because I need to touch up all the holes that I patched. So I might be like, okay, the paint, I need to touch up that stuff. Okay, I'll go do that really quick and get that done. And then like once that's done, then that item can go downstairs. So I just like slowly chip away at the pile and one by one we'll clear it out. And I don't know, it works for me. Like I said, like this just feels overwhelming, but when I go one item at a time and do exactly that, I literally will pick it up and be like, okay, do I still need the tape measure for anything? Yes, because I still need to hang up that thing over there and I'm going to want to measure it out. So I'll sit that back down because I don't feel like hanging it right now, but I do still need it. So that's honestly how I go about it when I get to this stage. And like I said, it works for me to do it that way. It may seem kind of silly, but it just kind of helps to push me through when I feel like there's just too much happening. So that's what we're doing today. Gonna try and get finishing details. I'm definitely not gonna finish it today, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to chip away at this pile and get some of this stuff cleared out of here. All right, guys, let's see the final reveal after our changes. So, like I said, minor changes, but they have been really great. The big thing being the new clothing storage. This has been working so well for me. It's so much better than what I had before. Like I said, I have more individual cubbies now, so I can separate stuff, which is exactly what I wanted. All of the components to this added together was about $100 because I purchased this. It's actually a shoe bench. I got that, and then I got two more of these shelves plus the shelf to go across. So it was just about $100 for everything. I reused the bar that I already had. I took this bar out of the closet downstairs and reused it up here. It's just really nice to be able to hang some things up, and then hampers down below. This works perfectly to hide this door, which was one of the things that I wanted to do since I don't really use the closets. I wanted to kind of disguise the doors a little bit so you didn't have so much brown going on. So that has worked perfectly. I have the jewelry mirror right beside it, which just fits in this space so well. I'm really happy with that, and it makes way more sense to have it there than it did behind the door, because when the door's open, it fully blocks this wall. So it just makes more sense to leave that wall bare and to have it over here. Just, I did not think I was gonna like it as much as I do in this little space, but it just fits there perfectly. And then shoe rack is still here. I have my bags and my hats. The shoe rack, I'm hoping to relocate my shoes downstairs because I want to like encourage shoes off in the house behavior. I typically don't wear shoes in the house. Like when I go somewhere, um, I like take my shoes downstairs and put them on downstairs, and then when I come home, I take them off and then bring them up here. But it would just be so much more convenient if my shoes were stored downstairs to begin with. And I have an idea of where I could keep them, but for right now, they need to stay up here. But I think I'm going to be able to make room for them downstairs. My main thing is just going to be figuring out where my socks are going to go, because I do currently have my socks in these two bins with my shoes, which works perfectly. But when I move my shoes downstairs, I think the socks are gonna need to stay up here, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. But that is the plan for right now, is to hopefully at some point relocate my shoes downstairs. Not on the existing rack. I want to make new like low profile racks, the ones where the shoes like stand up straight and they're like flat against the wall. So I will just have this rack left over. I'll probably repurpose it somewhere. But for right now, they need to stay up here. But other than that, I got this stuff moved. I made a little gallery wall over here out of all existing stuff that I already had. I do wish that it was bigger, like that I extended it down the wall a little bit. Um, I think that maybe I'll add to it over time, but for right now, I literally just like scoured my collection of existing frames and pictures and made it out of that. So potentially I could add to it if I get more frames. I do have some frames that are kind of floating around right now that I might be able to use to add to this, but the whole idea was that I didn't want to buy anything. I just wanted to use what I already had. So that's why it's so short right now, but I do want to add more and make it bigger. I think it could be fun to like maybe even extend it all the way down potentially and like kind of go around like the nightstand and just have the whole wall covered, but I haven't decided yet. But for right now, I just kind of kept it there at the top of the wall. I did finally paint the bench. which I have been talking about wanting to finish it. So I ended up painting it the same color as the walls. And then this is the cushion that came with the shoe bench that I used for my clothing. And it is almost the exact length of this bench. I think it's maybe like an inch longer. So that was just a happy accident. So now I have a little cushion for this bench. And this is literally, I use this bench every single day. I sit here when I get dressed, and I typically have like my sleep clothes for like the ones I'm currently wearing will be, you know, like sat here, that like that's where I keep them to get changed into after I shower. So this is actually a very functional bench for me. And yeah, getting it painted was just something that I've been wanting to do. And then I have a little basket down here that I keep my work clothes in, so they have like very easy access when I get up in the morning. I just sit down here on the bench, I pull the bin out, grab my clothes for the day, and get dressed for work. So that functions really well, and this is a bin that I already had. One other thing that I didn't really mention was that I changed out the hardware on the nightstands. So when I got these, they were just like a very like little knob. I found these really cute knobs on Marketplace that I replaced them with, and they just added a bit more character than just the plain ones that were on it before. And then I spray painted the feet to match the new knobs, so I kind of pulled from this like tanny color and did that on the legs, and they just look so much cuter and so much more unique. And this sort of tanny brown color is something that I have used throughout the room. I have it on the lampshades and a couple other places in the decor, so that worked out perfectly. And yeah, these are just really cool. It's almost like a crystal and then just has this wrapping around it. So that was a really good find. I also found this in my yard. I'm not particularly a Pink Floyd fan, but I wanted something to cover up the door, and this, like I said, it got blown into my yard during a storm, and I left it out there for about a week thinking that whoever it belonged to would see it and come pick it up, and they just never did. So I decided to hang it up in here and, like I said, cover up the door just to help hide some of that brown, and it works pretty well. I think the last thing worth mentioning, which was something that I was not originally planning on doing, was that I painted the ceilings in here. So I had this idea while I was working on this room, and I'm so glad that I did it. I originally only painted the walls, but I decided to paint the ceilings the same color as the walls, and it looks so much nicer than having white on the ceilings. Since the ceilings are so low in here, it helps just make the room look a lot bigger, and it's just so much nicer. I like having a more calm color in here. The white was like so bright. So yeah, I'm really happy with this change, and I'm glad I thought to do this because it just looks so much better. And I am really coming around to painting your ceiling the same color as your walls. Alright guys, that is going to be it for this video. Just a nice little freshening up of this space, with the closet being the big change in here. And yeah, this was just a really fun little project to kind of update the space that I hadn't changed since I moved in, and I'm just really happy with it. So I hope you enjoyed.